Unusual guy, this Mitch Albom.
Glad to have you with us both on MSNBC and all across the nation. Kenny
The
Brown.
most dominant co-host in the game.
Hey, Mitch! The longest running afternoon show in Detroit radio. The Mitch Albom Show starts now.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
All right. Happy Friday. It is January the 8th. What a wild first week of 2021. Thanks for stopping by WJR 760 AM, where Detroit comes to talk. Governor Gretchen Whitmer says it's now safe for K through 12 students to return to the classroom, even though COVID-19 caseloads remain high. She set March 1st as a goal for schools across Michigan to offer some in-person learning. The state will not penalize schools that do not offer it. Let's listen to what the governor had to say. Cut 16.
The value of in-person learning for our kids is immeasurable, and we must do everything we can to help our kids get the great education they need and to do so safely. Over the last 9 months, medical experts and epidemiologists have closely been following the data and know now that schools can establish a low risk of transmission by ensuring that everyone wears a mask and adopting careful infection prevention protocols.
And joining us now is Ron French, award-winning educational reporter for Bridge Magazine. Ron, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
It seems like they got to get these classrooms open as quickly as possible. Ron did a story in Bridge, Michigan, where they had basically like a town hall or roundtable of teachers to find out how things were going. Ron, why don't you tell us how they are saying things have been going from at-home learning?
Yeah, I pulled together 6 teachers from around the state, ranging from kindergarten teachers to people who teach 12th grade, and try to get a sense of how this crazy semester had gone. And frankly, it was very depressing, to be honest. It's for them, it's been a nightmare. They talk a lot about they're teaching into these black screens of a laptop because they don't know the students are actually there. They cannot, for privacy reasons, mandate that the students turn on their cameras. So they may be signed on, but the screen is black, so you have no idea if they're actually there or not, or across the room. Some of them talked about how 50% of their students are flunking. They talk about one teacher I spoke to is talking about retiring early because she just can't take it. One teacher was having to teach kindergartners, first graders, and second graders, 150 students in total on the same day, virtually, and just talking about the struggles that they're all having. It's been a very tough time.
Yeah, you wrote one described it as the worst experience of a professional life, the worst. Several said they were frustrated and depressed. I get the frustration. Where's the depression coming from? What's happening in their day-to-day efforts to teach kids how to learn that is depressing the teachers?
Well, part of it is these are people who devoted their lives to educating children, and they're in a situation now where they weren't trained. They weren't trained to teach this way. And so they're trying to figure out how to do it, and they're doing a better job than they did when they had to learn overnight in last March how to do this when Governor Whitmer shut down the schools. But there are big limitations. One of the big things that they mentioned is that maybe the top half of the class is doing fine. But as one of the teachers said, they're going to do fine no matter how you try to teach them. But the bottom half that needs more attention, they can't get that extra attention. The teachers can't look in their eyes and see if they're really understanding wrong division. So it's trying to if you're a surgeon, you have at least one hand tied behind your back. You're going to get depressed about it. You're not doing as good of a job.
Yeah, you said one teacher told you that 50% of students learning remotely is failing. 50%. You have to worry about the gaps in learning that are taking place. For some kids, it's a lost year, isn't it?
That's the fear. And one teacher that I spoke to expressed concern that these are the sort of learning losses that is going to haunt the education system for years to come. You don't make it up in the first 6 weeks when you get back to school. And it'll affect things. It'll eventually could, if we don't find a way to address this by getting the kids back in school, probably, it could affect the economy because kids are not going to be prepared to go to college.
You said that teachers told you that when they were able to go back to the classroom, they were very grateful and they seemed to like school a lot better. But then when they were told again they had to go back home and go back to virtual, that some of them felt, basically crushed.
Yeah. It's one of the tough things. I talk to superintendents and teachers every day, and one of the toughest things they and their students have to face is switching back and forth. Some of them said, I'd rather have been virtual all semester than start out virtual, come back for 3 weeks, then have half the class quarantined because Johnny got sick, have them back, and then Governor Whitmer shut down all the high schools in November. It's a switching back and forth. The lack of consistency has really caused the problem.
I thought it was interesting that you reported that freshmen are really struggling. That transition, is that what's catching them to try and make that jump from middle school to high school and then to do that from home?
And that's what I think so, Kevin. It's if you're a senior, you sort of have the game down. You sort of know what you're doing. But high school typically is a much more rigorous type of curriculum. And so that's tough even as if you're sitting in classroom. But then to be thrown into this situation, sitting at home by yourself, probably with not the greatest attention span in the world if you're a ninth grader, if you're like any ninth grader I know, it makes it very difficult.
And a lot of teachers are reporting that they're actually working a lot more. A lot of people who are working from home kind of like it. They're maybe able to work a little less than they were when they're at the office. But teachers are saying they're having to work more, do lessons at night.
Yeah, a lot of this because districts who are opening up their classrooms are giving students the option of also learning at home for those who want to. For safety reasons. There are a lot of reasons. Some families may decide I'm keeping my children out for the year until we all get our shots. But there aren't twice as many teachers, right? So one of the teachers I spoke to literally has a camera in her room, in her classroom, and she has to be teaching to the kids sitting in the desks, but also be turning to the camera and talking to people who are watching them home. Others are asynchronous, where they're just recording lessons for students who are working remotely. They're doing that at night or early in the morning, going to school buildings, teaching all day, coming home, and then answering questions from the students who are working remotely. So it tends to be a long day and frustrating day for everyone.
Teachers are burned out and the kids are not learning. This is a story you're going to want to read. You can find it at Bridge, Michigan. Ron French, thanks for coming on the Mitch Albom Show.
Thank you.
All right, Happy New Year. Let's take a quick break and check traffic with Michael Stetz.
Thank you very much, Kevin. In Wayne County, an accident on 275 southbound after 94. That's just reported. Expect delays there. Report here on an accident on 94 eastbound after 69. That's blocking the left lane right now. Traffic moving slowly from Range Road. And back to Wayne County quickly. You're moving slowly right now on 94 westbound between Connor Street and Mount Elliott Street. Now WJR weather first from the Weather Channel.
Well, a continuation of very weak fronts in the forecast, or no fronts at all for the next 7 days. Really don't have a good strong cold front to come through here until late next week, about a week from today. Our high today 32, our low tonight 25, and then partly cloudy skies this weekend with mid and upper 30s. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie, Moral News Talk 760 WJR.
Have you been told you need spark?
Where'd Dr. Spin go?
I don't know.
Paging Dr. Spin. We need some boogie stat.
I'm right here.
There you are.
Kibitz.
The story behind Dr. Spin is when I was in 5th grade, we had an assembly, and we had a breakdancing group called the Renegades, and my nickname was Dr. Spin.
Wow.
So we had parachute pants.
We were providing like head spins and
basically what I did was I did like I used to spin around like on my knee and then had my one leg out and then spin around.
Wow.
Yeah, we had black shirts with white lettering down the side that said Renegades.
Ooh.
We had our nickname on the back, and we all had parachute pants. It was cool.
Can you still do it, Dave? I can move this camera.
Probably not. I would hurt myself and maybe take out the camera. So yeah.
Which would be just as entertaining.
Yeah. So that was my nickname. Was Dr. Spin as part of the Renegades.
Friday, Suzanne.
Back in 5th grade.
Did you wear like the Adidas tracksuits or?
No, we just had the T-shirts that we had made. We had the names down the side, on the back. We had the parachute pants. The parachute pants were hard to find because not everybody's parachute pants looked the same. That was a problem. Because there was like 18 of us.
As a child of the '80s, my sister was a few years older than me. She had like parachute pants every color of the rainbow, pretty much. So
yeah,
should ask her.
It was back at let's see, my 5th grade for me would have been what 1978, 79-ish. Yeah.
Is there home video of this lying around?
I don't know if there is video lying around there was nothing that my dad took. I think he was at the assembly. We had all of those film transferred to DVD, so it may show up one day. I'd like to see it. I do remember that it was I remember the music that we danced to. I do remember.
Can you do a little dance for us, Dave?
I don't think I could because I might hurt myself or take out the camera here in the studio. So it would be pretty.
Dave, you can do it right now. Like right there.
Yeah,
we got a little dance.
I'm gonna pass, but
need some cardboard boxes so you get the spin going.
Yeah, it was.
It wouldn't be the same without the parachute pants anyway.
Yeah, it was quite a few years back.
I'm gonna have to fix that camera shot.
Yeah.
All right.
But, Kev, your guest is there.
All right, sounds good.
Don't change the subject.
Yeah.
Here we go. We're back.
Dave breakdances.
You're listening to the Mitch Albom Show on the great voice of the Great Lakes, 760 WJR. Here's special guest host Kevin Dietz.
CES 2021 will be an all-digital experience in connecting exhibitors, customers, thought leaders, and media from around the world. Participants will hear from technology innovators, see cutting-edge technologies and the latest product launches, and engage with global brands and startups from around the world. Joining us now is Jamie Kaplan to tell us all about what's going on January 11th through the 14th. Welcome to the Mitch Albom Show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, no, we're glad you could do it. It's been a crazy week, and we're glad that we were able to get you on. For our audience that isn't familiar with CES, tell us about it.
Sure. So CES is the most influential technology event in the world. Historically, we convene the tech industry in Las Vegas, and we have 170,000 people who participate. And it's really the entire ecosystem that comes together. But you'll see healthcare companies, automotive companies, really just a range of industries launching their products and sharing their latest innovations. But, this year is obviously a little bit different for us.
Yeah. So what are the challenges going to be being, 100% virtual?
Well, let me just, I think, kind of set the stage for you. I think, it's an all digital experience. Obviously it's really different. There's, of course, some challenges, but for us, this was something that we've been working on for many months. I think we realized, probably over 6 months ago that it wasn't going to be possible to bring 170,000 people together in Las Vegas. But what we wanted to do is to come up with a solution that would support the uniqueness of our industry and allow us to really to convene everyone and to bring them together. So we ripped up the playbook of, the traditional show, and we looked at what would that digital format would be. So I think for us, one of the big challenges that I feel like, we've had to overcome is how do we foster the uniqueness of CES, and how do we recreate some of that serendipity and some of the collaboration that would usually happen in the in-person world, and that has, is not something we usually think of, when you look at the digital space. And we announced several months ago that Microsoft would be our technology partner for CES. And what we've really come up with is a solution that will help create that personalized experience, and that will also have some like live moments and some serendipity as part of the event.
Yeah, I mean, you get some of the biggest names. Share with us some of the people who are going to be speaking, some of the keynotes.
Yeah, we've got a great lineup of keynotes. So on Monday, Verizon's Hans Vestberg will be speaking, really related to 5G. And then on the first day of the show, we will have GM, General Motors, Mary Barrow will be speaking, and they'll really be speaking on their electrification strategy with electric vehicles. And then we've got a keynote from Lisa Su from AMD. We've got Best Buy's Corey Barra. We've got Walmart's Doug McMillan. We even have the CEO of Warner Media, Ann Sarnoff, speaking. So I think even though, it's a different experience, they're not going to be on the stage. It's a broadcast experience. We're really excited about the lineup that we've been able to recreate here. And I think, typically a big benefit of having this digital experience is, traveling to Las Vegas can sometimes be, there's hotel constraints, the travel can be long for international travelers, but really the world will have access to hear these visionaries. We are working with Twitter, so there'll be actually when the keynotes are taking place, they'll be live streaming on Twitter. And that will be accessible to not just anyone who has signed up for CES, but really anyone who wants to log on to Twitter can now have access to these keynotes. So I think that's one of the unique things about this format is it does allow, a larger participation, and people who wouldn't usually have be able to access the content will be able to this year.
And it's not all business. You still manage to have some fun. You have some performers who are going to be there.
Yes, exactly. We've got we've got Dua Lipa there. We've got Billie Eilish. They'll be doing a set together, and I think there'll be some, if you look at some of our exhibitors and some of our keynoters, I think there might be some surprises that they have related to entertainment as well. So I think, in this broadcast format, you've got to keep it exciting. You've got to keep it shorter than in the real world. And I think there'll be some entertainment interspersed throughout the experience of the digital event.
Ryan Seacrest may show up.
Yes, exactly. So, you've got to, I would encourage anyone to, to follow us on Twitter and to look for, other potential announcements that will be happening during the show too.
So one of the great things about conferences, you'll go to one big meeting room and you'll all be together, and then you'll break off into small groups. Are you able to do that digitally, virtually? Can you still do that? Can you have the smaller group experiences as well as the large audience?
Okay, I think that's a question that we've been asked a lot is, how do we, the average attendee who comes to CES, I think it's over, 30 meetings that would take place for them. So what we have created is with some of the tools that can happen on the platform. One of them is if you're participating in the show, you log on and you can personalize your profile. And from there, we will offer up suggestions of here's the content that's relevant to you. There's also a large directory that you can opt into. And within that directory, you're able to network with anyone within the show who's opted in to participate within that. But also you can have a spontaneous meeting. So if there are, 10 people who are on the platform at the same time and you want to set up a meeting with, there are tools that have been set up within the platform to enable that element of spontaneity and for meetings to really take place. And those meetings can actually even take place on the platform after the days of the show until February 15th. So, like I had mentioned earlier, we really tried to come up with a solution that would really foster that collaboration between the attendees.
if you've ever been to this conference or any conference in Vegas, it's a lot of fun to go see the exhibit rooms. There's just huge, massive exhibit rooms. You guys have almost 2,000 exhibitors. What's the workaround for that experience for attendees to hook up with exhibitors and see what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. So I think, like you mentioned, we have almost 2,000 exhibitors. And I think, when we first launched that we were going to be having an all digital experience, our goal was actually to have 1,000 exhibitors. So, we're pretty excited that the demand has been so high. We've actually gotten to a place where we're not really, we're not looking to bring anyone else onto the platform. We want to ensure that there is a really good experience for the 2,000 exhibitors who are there. So if you are if you're an exhibitor, there's different levels that you can participate in the digital activations. As part of that, some of them might be participating on Monday in our media day, which is really when the large brands and even, some newcomers will be hosting press conferences to make major announcements. And some of those brands include Bosch, Canon, Kohler, LG, Samsung, Sony, Mercedes-Benz, Panasonic, but this will be the day full of announcements for these brands where they'll be really using the platform. And then throughout the show, there'll be other opportunities where they'll participate in an exhibitor showcase. And then even on the platform, they can have live demonstrations throughout the show. So those are some of the interesting things and cool things that we're looking forward to. In addition, I would encourage anyone who is coming to CES this year to really tune into our anchor desk. We will have a live anchor desk this year. And the anchor desk is really the place where we will have live anchors there, and they will kind of be giving you that recap of here's what happened yesterday, here's some of the major announcements, here's what you have to look forward to in the show. And they'll also be doing some interviews with some key visionaries. So it's kind of like the home base if you're going to be attending the show that you can log on to and really participate in the anchor desk.
Are we still going to get our swag bag? Is the UPS man going to be bringing it, or will there no swag in the digital world?
I know. It's funny. When we had CS, some of the things that people would complain about are now some of the things that they miss. So I've heard a lot of people in past years, they would say my feet hurt, or every time I walk around the show, I'm getting all this swag. I don't know what to do with it. It's a waste. And now people are saying, how do I get the swag? Or I'm missing that, my feet aren't aching this year. I'm really missing Vegas. So, we're not sending out swag bags, but we look forward to welcoming everyone back to Vegas in 2022, and I'm sure there will be lots of swag.
All right, Jamie Kaplan, thanks for being with us. We'll all be looking for CES 2021 from the 11th to the 14th. Right now, we're going to check traffic and weather with Michael Stutz.
This report is sponsored by the Exergen Temporal Scanner. Don't take chances with COVID-19 and your family's health. Use the Exergen Temporal Scanner to check temperatures before dinner and before you leave home. It takes an accurate reading in seconds and is the #1 thermometer recommended by hospitals, doctors, and nurses. Stay safe with Exergen.
In the city, road construction has the right lane closed right now on 75 southbound between Verner Highway and Springwell Street. That construction is scheduled through January 29th. In Wayne County, some good news. That incident from earlier on 275 southbound after 94, that is now cleared. And in Port Huron, an accident on 94 eastbound after 69 that has the left lane blocked. Traffic moving slowly right now from Range Road. Now WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Sponsored by North Bloomfield Properties. If you're looking for a place to call home, let North Bloomfield Properties find the best place for you and your family. They also provide pre-screened quality tenants to their property owners. They love to match good people to good homes. Contact them today, northbloomfield.com. Cloudy heading into this evening with a low of 24 tonight. Right now it's 32 degrees. I'm Michael Stutz, WJR News in 1 minute.
This report is sponsored by the Exergen Temporal Scanner. Don't take chances.
Kevin, your next guest is ready to go. The cut that Mike has was from night one of the first Trebek. So
let's see if I go 2 for 2 with remembering these cuts, Kev. I'm on a hot streak. Do you want that coming in, or do you want to call for it?
I'm going to just call for it, and it'll be quick, though. I'll be like 10 seconds in.
Hey,
That's good.
MSU, Mike, starts right at 6, right?
Yes.
Just so I know what to throw to my last news.
MSU Purdue tonight there, Stats.
Oh, the Boilermakers.
There you go. Big
It's
game.
a hell of a skilled trade out here.
Big game. Big game.
It's also a drink.
It's quite versatile.
Old school drink. A Boilermaker. I'm trying to remember. It's a certain shot.
It's a beer. I think it's a shot of whiskey dropped in beer.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking it up now.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like an Irish car bomb?
I think it could be any beer.
Yeah, you drop it in there, boom, and then drink
Bailey's
it.
into like Guinness.
Yeah, it's whiskey in beer. Took me. I'm a retired bartender. It's been a while.
I'm a retired bartender too.
All right.
I was a bartender
That was
for
an awesome
about
job.
2 weeks, and then the hotel shut down.
Yeah, I had a blast bartender.
Must have been the bartender.
Yeah,
Some
it
of my
had
funnest
nothing to do with
times
COVID.
I really had a blast. A lot of fun.
Yeah, bartending was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun.
I used to run pizzas. That was my career. Was I was trying to break into the industry. I feel like everyone who wanted to get into broadcasting was either a bartender, a pizza driver, or a waiter.
Yeah,
Very accurate.
I think I did all those. Well, I wasn't a waiter, but I made pizzas up at college, and and I've delivered them as well.
I love delivering pizzas.
I've never worked in the food industry.
Well, you missed out.
Apparently.
Yeah. I was a waiter, bartender, cook, fixed appliances before I got back into broadcasting school.
Wow. A dog groomer?
I'm a real Renaissance man, as they say.
Dog groomer.
I don't know what fried Dietz is. Is that a thing, Patrick Osterman, or did he just come up with a term?
Fried eats. Ah.
I wonder if that's like an inside joke, with Kevin, or if he just was clever.
I think he might just be clever there.
Nice play on words there, Patrick.
Or maybe it's part of the roast.
Yeah.
maybe I'm up.
Right.
The portmanteau there.
I don't know what more DATs mean, unless he's talking about the old audio recording device.
Oh, like a DAT tape?
Oh.
The digital audio tapes?
Yeah.
Kevin's getting a lot of nicknames today. DATs, fried Dietz. I don't know if I'm ready to watch the last episode of Jeopardy with Alex Trebek tonight.
Yeah, it's tough.
I've been watching Beat Bobby Flay with my wife on the Food Network. A lot of fun show. If you like cooking shows.
Yeah.
And who doesn't?
Are you a fan of Gordon Ramsay and the Hell's Kitchen series?
Yeah, I like doing that. That's been on a while.
I like when he does the 24 hours to turn a restaurant around.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah.
He just goes and yells at everybody.
Right.
What the problem is you?
He goes and yells at everyone, and then in the last segment, he's like, "I'm so proud of you. Well done."
After he's like tore you down for an hour.
Right. He'll like throw spoiled food at like the kitchen staff's like, "What the bleep is this?" And then,
I love you.
I like when he tries something and spits it out and gets mad. I never worked for a crazy chef like that. I've worked for a few temperamental, but yeah, that kind of chef would not have jived well with my personality. I can tell you that.
Chefs are kind of like artistes, so
Yeah, they are. You're right, Mike.
volatile.
Right,
You're
but
right.
you can't be slapping plates out of my hands and expect no repercussion. That's
I mean,
I
that
wouldn't
sounds like
have
a
lasted
good.
long.
That sounds like a good like overall theory in life. Don't slap plates out of people's hands.
Yeah.
Here we come.
Stay foam or USAinsulation.net.
USA Insulation.
You're listening to the Mitch Albom Show on the great voice of the Great Lakes, 760 WJR. Here's special guest host Kevin Dietz.
Well, it is the end of an era. Today will be the final show for the GOAT, the greatest of all time of game shows, Alex Trebek, who passed away November 8th of pancreatic cancer. His final show airs tonight. Let's listen to how he opened up the show on Monday, the first show of his final week.
Here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Thank you, Johnny. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You'll recall that about a month ago, I asked all of you to take a moment to give thanks for all of the blessings that you enjoy in your lives. Now, today, a different kind of message. This is the season of giving. I know you want to be generous with your family, your friends, your loved ones. But today, I'd like you to go one step further. I'd like you to open up your hands and open up your heart to those who are still suffering because of COVID-19. People who are suffering through no fault of their own. We're trying to build a gentler, kinder society. And if we all pitch in just a little bit, we're going to get there.
How great is that? Joining us now is Tim Kiska, a professor of journalism and author of From Soupy to Nuts, A History of Detroit Television. Tim, welcome to the Mitch Albom Show.
Hello, Kevin.
Wow, it's a tough day. I mean, we were talking a little bit before you came on. It's gonna be hard to watch tonight.
Oh yeah, and you know, I think 34 years. I mean, that's how many years he's been on, and you know, TV probably is better than anybody. I mean, I think that's a tough job doing what he did because like the show is the star, right? And the contestants are kind of stars, and you're sort of a traffic cop. And so you're in there, you're sort of directing traffic, but you don't want to make too much of yourself, and that's kind of a hard thing to do. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's hard enough to keep ratings high enough that you can stick around for 34 years or whatever it ended up being.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was something really special about the way. You wouldn't necessarily even notice Alex Trebek, except he would speed up the show when it needed to be. He would slow it down when it needed to be. He was funny when he wanted to be. And so it just made the experience so much more enjoyable, but without, jumping up and down and yelling a lot.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, the guy has perfect pitch. I mean, you know, he was sort of aware of everything that was going on around him. So I know my hat's off to his skills, what he did for all of those years.
Yeah, and just, I mean, when you think about some of the big names in television over the years, Oprah Winfrey, Johnny Carson, I think Alex Trebek holds up right up there with most of the biggest ones.
Oh yeah, I don't think any question about it. And there's another thing too. I think that show. I mean, there are a ton of TV stations across the country that's kind of where they make a chunk of their profit. I mean, because it's a very popular show, and so if you're if you own a TV station and you're running this show, you're kind of sitting there saying, boy, I hope whoever replaces that guy for good, I hope they know what they're doing, because I think there's a lot on the line here.
Yeah, it was interesting. Alex Trebek did not want to get involved in who was going to replace him. He said, make sure the show goes on. And they've had some people, test runs with different people. And I think next week, Ken Jennings will be the first guest host, but they're going to guest host for a while until they find or figure out what fits best. But the show is the star, and they ought to be able to find somebody to do it. They just will have to have their own personality and not try and replace Alex.
No, I mean, just no way. I mean, I always thought that like replacing Ernie Harwell would have been the worst job ever.
Right.
I don't think it's quite that bad, but close.
So this final episode tonight is going to be remarkably unremarkable, which I think is great. It's going to be just like any other show. Alex Trebek thought he was going to tape a second week of shows, of final shows, and he got sick before he was able to, so they weren't able to tape the second week, and so it ended without him really knowing that would be the final show. But he wasn't able to come in anymore. So it'll be interesting. It'll be like watching any of the Jeopardies, and I think that's kind of a nice way to go out. And then there'll be, I believe afterwards, there's going to be a tribute as well, which will be nice.
Well, the account I read, I think you may have read the same one, is that Tonight Show, I mean, before the thing even started, his producer was saying, don't come in. I mean, you're really sick. Let's not do this. And he insisted. So, what you're seeing tonight, you'd probably not notice it, but I'm told you see a man who's actually in a lot of pain, as he's working. And so, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, he was, he was very honest. He told people pretty quickly when he got sick that he was sick, and he, and he kept the audience up to speed pretty much on his prognosis as he was going along. And you just sort of felt like this was a friend you knew, somebody that you actually met in person and knew as you watched him on television and go through this. And it was, I think it's going to be a difficult thing for a lot of people, even though he's, passed away back in November.
Oh, I know. No question about it. No question about it. It's, so we'll see. I mean, there's, like I said, I wouldn't want to be the person replacing him.
Yeah.
But, the show will go on. No question about it.
Where do you think he ranks in there in the game show hosts? I mean, people talk about that all the time. It's one of those things that people like to debate.
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, all right. So, or maybe I'm showing my age. I thought Hugh Downs used to be pretty good when he was hosting game shows years ago. I thought he was good. Yeah, I think this guy would be it.
Yeah, he'd be right up there at the top. Our producer likes Richard Dawson, and
okay, Richard Dawson was great. Gary Moore, I thought, was quite good. But then, my critical facilities on game shows aren't what they should be.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch. I'm going to watch tonight. I'm going to just enjoy it and enjoy Alex Trebek for all the talent he had and all the joy he brought to our family over the years. I mean, we've watched Jeopardy over a lot of dinners, so that would be the background noise. And it's like I said at the start, it's the end of an era. Tim Kiska, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right. Happy New Year. We're going to take a quick break, and right now we can check weather and traffic with Michael Stetz.
This report is sponsored by the Exergen Temporal Scanner. These may be uncertain times, but what is certain is that every family needs a reliable thermometer. Protect your family with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, the only home thermometer used and recommended by hospitals, physicians, and clinics. Stay safe with Exergen.
In the city, an accident on 75 southbound at Verner Highway that has the left 2 lanes blocked right now. In Wayne County, you're moving slowly right now on 94 westbound between 75 and Linwood Street. And also in Wayne County, some good news, that incident from earlier on 275 southbound after 94, that is now cleared. Now WJR weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Primetime Testing Laboratory. In need of testing that automotive project? Primetime Testing Labs are the industry's best in complete automotive testing services. They guarantee on-time delivery, accurate result reporting, and are A2LA accredited. For your automotive project, get a free quote at primetimetestinglab.com. That's primetimetestinglab.com.
Some afternoon sunshine and a high of 32. Our low tonight 25. Saturday partly cloudy and highs near 40. Sunday partly cloudy, mid-30s. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie. More on News Talk 760 WJR.
Welcome to Spotlight.
All right, let's get going. Let's get kibitzing, man. This is the last one of the week. This is it.
Your guest is on the line, ready to go, Kevin.
All right, good.
And Mike also has the cut too.
All right, Mike. This is your big moment.
3 in a row is a streak, Kev.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. Who said Richard Dawson? Was that you, Dave?
What's that?
Kevin said that his producer liked Richard Dawson.
I made that up.
We were talking about that the other day.
Oh, did you?
Actually, I couldn't remember exactly who he liked best, but he did. He went through the list. He had me try and guess who were most popular or most.
Oh yeah, we did the most popular, and Trebek was in the top 5. Obviously, Bob Barker's up there.
That's it, Bob Barker.
Wink Martindale.
Your Chuck Bullards.
Chuck Woolery, yep, 2 and 2, yep.
See, we needed you guys to do that. We needed you guys to do that interview.
You've got your Richard Dawson, yeah.
I'm sorry, Mike. I think I interrupted you.
No.
Okay.
But my favorite all-time game show host, obviously, Wink Martindale from Tic Tac Toe back in the day. That was he was
I like the guy from the Newlywed Game. I thought he was hilarious, really funny.
Oh, that's Bob Eubanks. He was
Bob
good.
Eubanks,
Yeah. Bob Eubanks is good. Yeah, Chuck.
Who hosted Press Your Luck?
Press Your Luck. The guy who hosted, I forgot what his name was. He passed away in a plane crash, going to deliver food to like a third world country.
Oh man.
Yeah, and he, but I forget.
Peter Tamarkin?
Yeah, Peter Tamarkin. Yep, and he was good.
I gotta say,
They
some
brought it back
of the
with
looks that
Elizabeth
Steve-
Banks a couple years ago too.
Yeah, when they brought it
she
back.
was on.
Right. There's a whole great documentary about Press Your Luck about the guy who
Yes.
memorized the sequencing
pattern,
to
yeah.
avoid the whammies. Oh, it's a great documentary.
Oh, yeah.
That one of The Price is Right, where the guy also won like every showcase and got within perfect. You know, it used to be if you used to get within $100, you'd win both showcases, and
Yeah.
it was a
People
big
with
scandal,
brains
big
of that
scandal.
capacity fascinate me. Like the
Well-
people, like card counters and stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, what he did was he would record Price is Right, and the problem Price is Right had was they kept on bringing back the same prizes. So what he did was he kept on he had all these VHS tapes, and he recorded all of them, and he knew what all the prices were. They never changed it, so that was their fault.
I used to hate the people who win the Price is Right by betting $1.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
the low bid.
yes.
I like the people who lost by betting $1.
Right. Those are my favorite. Yeah.
Best
Like,
Price is Right game. Obviously, Plinko, right?
Plinko's
I
good.
can't remember them.
Plinko was
And then who did the one where you had 3 rooms to guess? Door number 1, door number 2.
that was
door number
Let's
3?
Make a Deal. It was Monty Hall, I think.
Monty Hall.
Yeah,
Another
or
great
Wayne Brady now. Yeah.
I just
Also,
love the
Jane
different
Lynch.
people. Go ahead.
I would say Jane Lynch is a great replacement on The Weakest Link.
I love
Boy,
when people
everybody
rip
wants
the
to
wheel.
get their kibitzing in. It's the final kibitz. Everyone wants to
I
get
know.
it in.
That's right.
Yeah, whoever ripped the wheel the hardest was always my favorite. You get some old lady who could barely move it, with like 4 pegs, and then someone would just rip it.
You're listening to the Mitch Albom Show on the great voice of the Great Lakes, 760 WJR. Here's special guest host Kevin Dietz.
All right, if you are looking for something really good to watch this weekend, I have something for you to check out. It's called Conviction. It's on Amazon Prime. It's won just about every award there is to a win out there. It's directed by Gia Wertz, and it stars Jeffrey Deskovic. Jeff Deskovic was a teenager when he was convicted of raping and killing a high school classmate. The thing is, he didn't do it. Someone else did. And Jeff wasn't released until he was in his 30s. He missed all those years of growth and development, socializing, all those unbelievable years. But what did he do when he did get out? He wasn't bitter. Jeffrey Deskovic went on to become an attorney and help free other wrongfully convicted inmates. It's an unbelievable story, definitely worth checking out. And I want you to welcome now, joining us is the director of Conviction, Gia Wertz. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, boy, how did you get involved in this project? When you look at wrongful convictions, there's so much to try and whittle down into one script.
Yeah, that's a good question. I got into it originally after listening to Serial, the podcast.
Yeah,
I
great.
heard it, and like most of the people that heard it in the world thought, this isn't right and something should be done. And so I organized a fundraiser for Adnan Syed, the subject of Serial, back in, I think it was 2014 or 2015. And as I was organizing that fundraiser for his legal defense fund, I was looking for a speaker for the event. And a friend of mine who was organizing the event with me said, I met a guy at a party and his name is Jeff, and he has a very similar story to Adnan because he was, similar age and also wrongfully convicted of a murder. And so I said, yeah, I'd love to meet him. And that's how I met Jeff. And so fast forward years later, when I went into filmmaking, I reached out to Jeff. He was the first person that came to mind.
Yeah, he's a wonderful person. If you haven't heard him, you can Google his name, or well, you go watch this movie, and then you'll really get to know him very well. One of the things you did so well, you go through all of the problems with his case and what happened, but the impact it had on him. You get a feeling of those lost years when you're in prison, and some of the emotional impact when you're serving time for a crime you didn't commit.
Yeah, that's really what gets me every time with these stories. It's like, to me, somebody who's obviously never been through anything like this, it's unfathomable how people like Jeff and Adnan who go through this are not bitter and miserable, angry people afterwards. If I think about myself in that position, I think that's how I would end up, but they're not, and it's so remarkable.
Yeah, I've interviewed about 6 or 7 people who spent at least 10 years or more in prison for crimes they didn't commit, and every one of them has a positive attitude. They usually have a good relationship religiously with their God or their power, and it is amazing that they all come out and want to help others in that circumstance one way or another, because when you get out, it's so difficult to get back on your feet. The world doesn't accept you. Half the people think you probably still did it anyway or did something, and they don't treat you great. And then there's really no programs in place. If you're paroled and you get out, there's things in place that will help you. But if you're innocent and wrongfully convicted, get out, you don't qualify for those in lots of states.
I know. It's really, really crazy. And then, you get out with no resources, and sometimes you've been estranged from family and things like that. And as you said, some people won't believe that you're innocent even after you've been exonerated and whatnot. But then you have, Jeff shared with me so many other issues too, like the first time he tried to fly internationally and just come from the U.S. to Canada. And even though he'd been exonerated and his whole criminal record had been, removed because it was wrongfully, in the first place, they didn't let him fly at first because I guess that information hadn't been transferred to the Canadian border. And so they didn't didn't take his word for it. They had to do all this kind of, research and stuff. It's really crazy what they go through.
Yeah, in reporting stories on this, I always found it difficult to make them visually interesting. Was it challenging for you as a filmmaker to take a story about somebody who's locked up and looking backwards on their story?
It really was, because I think the thing that really stands out to me is that he was, in my mind, is that he was 16 and 17 when he went into prison. And then he lost, at that point in time when he got out, he'd already lost half his life. And as you mentioned, like 16 to 33, 34, those are your formative years. They're such important years in everybody's life, and you lose those. But considering when I'm making the film that I had no footage of that period of time, it was really hard to convey the seriousness of that, because when I interview him, he's now in his mid-40s, right? So that was definitely a challenge. Yeah, and then he doesn't have a lot of photos from that period of time either, for the same reason. So yeah, it was a big challenge.
Yeah, it's beautifully shot and so well told, and that's one of the hardest things for people who aren't in the business of trying to edit down a story, to try and take a big story like that and edit it and cut it into a story that really just grabs your heart. And it brings you to tears really when you watch this show.
It brought me to tears when I was editing the film a few times, which is, kind of funny because I'd seen the footage so many times, but it's just so moving. But the other thing I'll say is I had a hard time connecting with Jeff's mom because she lives far away and she's older and she had some health issues and whatnot. But now, since the short was released on Amazon, I've now connected with her and interviewed her for the feature-length version that I'm working on now. And we have lots of photos and even some other footage and audio of Jeff when he was younger. So it'll be really interesting, I think even better in the feature-length film.
Yeah. Do you think you will spend much time on what he's doing today? Because it's pretty remarkable. His story is wild and crazy anyway, but it's also remarkable that once you'd come out that you would sort of dedicate your life to, getting a law degree and trying to help free other people.
Yes, for sure. My goal originally was to do a docuseries, and just have the first episode be about Jeff. And Jeff's story, I should say, and his backstory. And then I wanted to move on to his current work and then move through episode by episode a different client of his, because he has so many people he's trying to help right now that are currently incarcerated. And personally, my goal is to help somebody who's currently in jail so that we can either help them, give them a voice so they can tell their side of the story, or maybe help in some investigative way. That's my personal goal. So working with Jeff on future films or episodes would be ideal. We just are kind of navigating the pitching process to networks and whatnot to see if they're more interested in a film or if they're interested in a docuseries. So that kind of plays a part in how we'll go about it. But that would be ideal for sure.
Yeah, wow, that's fantastic. Well, congratulations. It's definitely something people want to check out, and his story is amazing, and I can't wait to see the full length version as well. Gia Wirtz, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
Oh, thanks for watching this film, and thanks for having me.
All right, have a great weekend. We are going to take a break. After the break, you have Michigan State basketball, but right now we're going to check in with traffic and weather with Michael Stetz.
This report is sponsored by the Exergen Temporal Scanner. Fever is the leading sign of COVID-19. Use an accurate thermometer for twice daily checks. Protect your loved ones with the Exergen Temporal Scanner. It takes an accurate reading in seconds and is the only home thermometer recommended by hospitals, physicians, and clinics. Stay safe with Exergen.
In the city, an accident on 75 southbound at Verner Highway that has the left 2 lanes blocked. You're stop and go right now from the Jeffries. In Wayne County, you're moving slowly right now on 94 westbound between the Lodge and Linwood Street, and in Oakland County, road construction on 75 northbound on Service Drive there between 696 and Lincoln Avenue. That single lane closure is scheduled through early March. Now WJR weather first. From the Weather Channel, low of 24 tonight. Partly cloudy for Saturday with a high tomorrow of 38. Right now it's 32 degrees. I'm Michael Stetz, Michigan State basketball.
New year, new budgets. Every small business has unique needs. And when you partner with Adele,
Sorry, Mike, I got antsy to hit to meet up with the network there.
So would it have been rude if we all just clicked off and left you there, Stetz? Just everybody's just gone.
Kevin. Kevin, I worked very hard on editing the clip that you didn't call for.
Which one?
Oh, for the documentary, for the lady you just talked to.
Oh, I forgot to call for the clip.
Wow.
Nope.
The shoe's on the other foot now, Dietz.
I should have left. Now it's Fridays or Friday. What did Patrick call it? We're now officially in Fridays.
Fried goat deets.
Yep.
We'll play it now. Come on, let's. So we'll have to have her back on then, and we'll have to play it again.
Yeah. Well, she's got the feature length coming out, so you can talk to her then.
Parsons, how come you didn't remind me or just play it over us?
You know what? I almost did. There was a long pause because she had a bit of a delay. I was thinking of maybe just like ramming it in there.
Right.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
Hey, you mentioned Amazon. I'm going to check that show out now. I love Amazon Prime. There's a show on there called 000.
Yeah, I wrote that down. I'm gonna check that out too.
It's
really good.
Unbelievable. I'm reading the book right now that it's based off of. Just
all right, guys. I got to get the game going.
All right, kids.
So we don't have to hang up, but I got to go. Pleasure as always, and looking forward to next time, guys.
Have a good weekend, Michael.
See you, buddy.
You too.
Yeah. All right, guys. Great week, Kevin. Right. Thanks so much for
great job. It's fun to be on. This was a blast. Had a blast.
It was fun. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Facebook friends.
We didn't get to talk about the Cleveland Browns or all the football that's going to be this weekend, but man, it's going to be fun.
Harbaugh.
6 games. Can't wait.
Yeah. We need an extended version.
I know. We should have did the Kibitz after hour.
Exactly. I gotta go to what is it? Just it's only Dave or
whatever
Dave.
Yeah, the Lions interviewed their last candidate, Jeff Ireland, for GM. So the decision I would think will be coming in the coming days.
So Harbaugh's in. He's got to get a defensive coordinator, and the Lions are getting close for the GM. Is that what you said? The GM?
Yeah, there's talk that he's hiring the linebackers coach from the Ravens as linebacker,
from his brother's
as a defensive coordinator.
Okay.
They're not going to hire Wink Martindale, the other Wink Martindale, who's a DC in Baltimore. But
He tied it in. He tied
Nice.
it in.
There you go.
Nice.
Well done.
Get it all together.
Well, you get the award for the day for not making mistakes. The rest of us screwed stuff up, Dave. You got it all right.
Exactly. Well, you know.
Thanks, Carolyn. We appreciate that.
We'll see you, man. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Take care, guys.
Night, guys. Have a good weekend.
Great broadcast.
Where Detroit comes to talk.